when you look at today's politician and you look at yourself in the mirror, there's no difference between the politician and you. So when you ask yourself and you define politicians as megalomaniacs and every other sort of expletive in the dictionary, we're essentially pointing the finger back at ourselves, because the politicians come from within our midst, and their values are a reflection of our collective values as well. So I think that the safety, security, and sustainability of democracy is based on the individuals. It's based on how engaged we are with the political process, how enlightened we are, and how much we hold our politicians accountable. I think today's Nigerian individual is more alert to the dangers of truncating democracy to where they won't allow it to happen. I think we know well enough to be able to speak out. My co-panelist mentioned earlier about civil society organizations, about the media, about citizens. All these are checks and balances against the excesses of politicians. That's not to say that they won't power grab, they won't be corrupt, they won't be self-interested. The average Nigerian politician is in it out of self-interest and not there to serve the interest of the larger public. So without a doubt, but I think there's enough checks and balances in the system that hold them accountable and begin to demand of them certain standards. Of course, some will fall through the cracks, and we've seen that happen with many of our politicians. But at this point in our nation's evolution, I cannot see us deteriorating to a point that democracy will be totally unsafe in the hands of the people we've entrusted the suffrages with today. Granted, it's quite onerous to say that those who are in office got there legitimately, or there are proper choices for office, or that there were not shenanigans involved in how they got there. But now that they're there, I believe we have enough institutions in place to hold them in check. I believe there's an incestuous relationship within the elite. The political elite are the problem of the country, not the grassroots, not even the ethnic, religious element of our politics. No, the real problem with Nigerian politics comes from the elite. And I think that a groundswell of mass engagement of the public is already occurring, and you can see it in uprisings like the Kwankwasia movement in Kano in the last election, where you see mass engagement, mass togetherness, making a point and making their presence and their authority felt. So I think that we overemphasize the risk. For example, I don't think a one-party state is possible in Nigeria. I don't think so. I think we're too divergent. I think we're too marginalized. We're too separated. Yes, it looks like everybody is suddenly defecting to the ruling party now. It looks like the PDP is in disarray, Labour Party, there's infighting, and there's all kinds of cross-carpeting going on, and there's all this talk about, oh, we're drifting towards a one-party state. I don't see that ever happening in Nigeria, because we are not a homogeneous blob. We are heterogeneous. We have different ideals, different values, all the things that come to play in politics differ among us as a people. Political parties are just vehicles to actualize ambitions. And once you see that the party you are in can't propel you into office, you're wasting your time in that party, and you'll find a greener pasture that can actualize your ambition. And the moment that ambition is actualized, you discover that there's no actual loyalty to any party per se. Our democracy will evolve to a point to where we're loyal to an ideology. At this point, we're only loyal to our stomachs. We're not. We don't have common values that tie us together as a group. we're loyal to stomach infrastructure, and stomach infrastructure is available everywhere. So it's the one that can actualize that for you that you will pursue. So I don't necessarily see cross-carpeting, even though it's betrayal and it's treachery, and I don't subscribe to it, but I don't necessarily see it as risking our democracy to the point that it could truncate it. I don't think at this point that we have any worries about these 26 uninterrupted years being interrupted, because I think we've entrenched democracy in Nigeria well enough to a point that it just needs to now continue to grow and develop.